Hey guys, welcome back. This is The Total Collapse of Katy Perry's Career by Patrick Cece.
Katy Perry has been glitching on stage like a broken animatronic at Chuck E. Cheese. Her recent tour has showcased exceptional choreography like fighting an air conditioning duct with a lightsaber.
Oh my god, does she think she's like Paul Atreides in Dune or something?
So bad that she has resorted to just merely running in circles, and I guess if you can call this twerking, then sure, that's what she's doing. And this seems like an extreme fall from grace from the candy-coated pop star that once ruled the entertainment industry. Katy Perry's music was once dominating every award show, every radio station, and every teenager's headphones. She was bold, confident, and rebellious, everything the 2010s told young women to be. But somewhere along the way, the persona started to crack. Her image in music was built on female self-expression, then fans found out that this was nothing more than a brand that was carefully crafted by a man, who, by the way, had some serious SA allegations from another beloved pop star. And Katy did not denounce him. She embraced him, which made fans wonder what she truly stands for. Today you will...
But it's like, I think every pop star's persona and brand is like created by like a company, though. It's not like Katy Perry is like one case where this has happened like ever before.
Realize that Katy Perry is not just simply being laughed at for a weak performance. Her entire manufactured persona is being dismantled, because even from the very beginning,
Perry used to look so good too.
Whatever she could to pander to the masses, starting with her going against her own religious values in hopes of getting a brief moment of universal fame. Now, I know the whole selling your soul to the devil trope is a long-standing conspiracy in Hollywood, and many people see it as a weak and uninformed way to pass off criticism to a celebrity that you no longer like. But for Katy Perry, it's different. She literally started out as a gospel singer, then wholeheartedly admits she sold her soul to the devil when her career was not working out.
Oh, wow, I actually like forgot about this.
I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music.
Yeah.
But
oh wow, her voice is so soft here.
It didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
That might be like a joke though, right? But like not really, you know?
In a traveling religious family by Pentecostal pastors whose job was mainly to set up different churches across the United States.
Damn,
and while the church didn't outright reject all modern songs, they obviously preferred the music that promoted Christian values, which encouraged Perry to get into performing gospel music. She said, "I was raised in a very pseudo-strict religious household where the only thing on the menu was gospel standards like Oh Happy Day, His Eye is on the Sparrow, and Amazing Grace, all 8 verses of it. So the new kids on the block are new to me now. They're not a comeback." I'm like, oh, this is a cool song. Perry dedicated all her free time to learning how to write songs and play guitar. She often traveled to Nashville where she recorded demos and got the attention of record labels. Noticing the promising young talent, Red Hill Records signed her and assisted
Katy Hudson! Damn, I didn't know her like last name had to be changed too.
In the release of her debut album at age 16. Now, gospel music's
I didn't even know she had an album at age 16.
Religious themes don't align with the broader secular messaging of mainstream pop culture, which limits its mass appeal. So Katy saw poor commercial success with her debut album, and the label shut down prematurely. From there, she had 2 options: stay true to her values and pursue a gospel career even though it would likely not result in money or fame, or go against her values and do whatever it took to become a pop sensation. She chose the latter and moved to California, where she admits that it changed her. Katy successfully rebranded herself when she signed with Capitol Records and released I Kissed a Girl, a provocative pop anthem telling the story of a young woman who experiments with her sexuality. Katy was
definitely a huge 180 from the gospel singer arc.
Anxious about the song's release, not because she didn't think it would be a success, but because this totally went against her religious values and she wasn't sure how this would affect her family life. After convincing her sister to break the news to her Pentecostal parents, the response wasn't entirely positive. They weren't mad, however, they were concerned that this was a sign that Perry was losing her way. On the Call Her Daddy podcast, Perry explained that she wasn't rejecting her parents' traditional values necessarily, but she was discovering that the world is a mixed bag, full of different cultures and beliefs that she had never explored. She said, "I met different people and I'm like, oh, "You're not a bad person. I grew up thinking you were this way. I was taught this way. So I saw more humanity. And then even traveling around the world once I had my success, I was like, whoa, these cultures believe in this, and this is how they work." Perry experienced
Yeah, it sounds like she was like super sheltered growing up.
That the world wasn't just black and white, that it's important to have an open mind and treat all backgrounds and ideologies with respect. But this also revealed something interesting about the new pop artist. Perry's own values basically changed overnight. If she's able to change her worldview that fast, what's stopping her from changing whenever a new opportunity comes along that fits her needs? And shape-shifting her values would ultimately be the demise of her career. However, she was about to become an absolute sensation, and her so-called deal with the devil was about to pay off. Perry's first mainstream pop album, One of the Boys, placed a spotlight on her budding career.
The music was so good on this album too.
But Teenage Dream helped establish her as a dominant force in mainstream pop. The project produced a record-tying 5 #1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, including California Girls, Teenage Dream, Firework, E.T., and Last Friday Night, making her the first woman in history to achieve that feat. Her sound seemed meticulously crafted for radio success, thanks in part to her team of talented writers and producers.
Yes,
at the same time, it still felt fresh and original. The album earned Perry 7 Grammy Award nominations, including Album of the Year, Best Pop Vocal Album, and Record of the Year. Teenage Dream did not just top the charts, it became the soundtrack of a whole generation's lives. Her music was being piped into county fairs, amusement parks, restaurants, and anywhere else you could think of. You couldn't walk outside or turn on the radio without hearing her latest hit, and soon, Katy's face became as recognizable as her voice. She appeared at award shows, made guest appearances on Sesame Street, The Simpsons, and Saturday Night Live, and embarked on a world tour that earned $59.5 million globally. Wow. And all of this success was quickly making her a potential face for women empowerment. In fact, in 2012, Billboard named Perry as their Woman of the Year. She was celebrated as a girl boss, feminist icon simply for being a successful woman who embraced her sexuality on stage. Back then, feminism in pop culture didn't require deep political activism. Being confident, glamorous, and in control of your image was enough. By today's standards...
Yeah, like, Katy was never successful because of political activism, and I don't know, like, who told her this and that she had to be, like, more politically active. That's, like, what literally, like, ruined her career. But she was successful because the music did sound, like, fresh. It was good. It was really catchy. It was just, like, fun party music, and she had good vibes, and she was hot, and the aesthetic was, like, fresh and new at the time, and, like, fit her really well.
This version of feminism is often seen as surface level, lacking the social awareness and advocacy now expected from public figures, which could be why her...
But I mean, like, who's really expecting this, like, advocacy from these public figures? I feel like these public figures think they, like, need to do this advocacy, and it always just, like, hurts their career, though.
Next album, Prism, contained a little more girl boss undertones, and in some respects, it paid off, showing her growth as an artist while still delivering the kind of catchy, accessible pop music that everyone came to adore. The lead single, Roar, debuted at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and sold millions of copies worldwide, becoming one of her best-selling singles of all time. Other tracks like Unconditionally and Dark Horse still delivered on people's expectations. These tracks weren't just popular, these tracks were inescapable, helping her launch her next big project, the Prismatic World Tour. The tour earned nearly quadruple its predecessor with...
What is happening on stage?
Mark Sutherland of Rolling Stone reacting to it positively, calling it loud, garish, camp, and never less than uproariously entertaining, and a show to damage retinas and blow minds. Despite attaining mainstream success just 5 years earlier, Katy Perry's catalog was respectable enough that she was invited to perform at the Super Bowl. Katy's halftime performance garnered 118.5 million viewers in the United States, becoming the most watched and highest rated show in Super Bowl history, surpassing
that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Michael Jackson and Beyonce. The viewership was even higher than the game itself, which was viewed by an audience of 114.5 million. At the time, nobody could have imagined pop music without Katy Perry. However, her momentum began to slow a little bit with the release of Chained to the Rhythm, which many described as an awkward attempt at blending pop with political commentary. This was the first sign that Perry was on a different path now. Being appreciated solely for her work wasn't enough anymore. She wanted to be an activist, to become an idol for feminism in a postmodern age. But what she didn't realize is being the political pop star is a tall order to fulfill. And as social media became more popular...
Yeah, this was basically the end of the beginning of the end.
Celebrities can't control their narratives as much anymore. If you don't practice what you preach, you will be exposed. And that damage to your reputation might be too big to repair. Katy Perry spent a considerable amount of time assisting Hillary Clinton on the 2016 presidential campaign trail. She performed at the DNC, made multiple public appearances alongside Clinton, and encouraged her fans to elect the first female president.
I admire so many things about Hilly C. I agree with many of her informed, educated policies. I think Hillary recognizes all of our voices, and she hears us, she sees us, and she knows that we're stronger together.
Yeah, that just like comes off as like so fake when I see like celebrities doing that for politicians. It's like, what policies do you align with? Like, why do you really support the candidate, you know?
Surprisingly, her music delved deeper into these political undertones, like these lyrics in Chained to the Rhythm. Are we crazy? Living our lives through a lens? Trapped in our white picket fence? Like ornaments? So comfortable? We're living in a bubble? So comfortable we cannot see the trouble? Suggesting that many people are content living in ignorance, shielded from the consequences of political and social issues. The song criticizes how society chooses to distract itself, using entertainment and media to numb or avoid uncomfortable truths.
Using entertainment like yours?
The idea being a metaphor for how people unknowingly submit to systems that keep them from engaging with reality. Already, this is too much explanation
Yes.
for a Katy Perry song, and perfectly demonstrates why casual listeners were shocked and confused. The beauty of Katy Perry's music was its ability to distract people from their everyday lives, not talk about the economic and political state of the world. Katy struggled to present herself as socially conscious to her broader audience without seeming out of touch or opportunistic.
Yeah, and like, I don't really know why she did this. I feel like she just thought it was like hot at the time and would help her career. Like, I honestly think that's one of the biggest reasons why she did this.
Especially considering her follow-up singles like Bon Appetit and Swish Swish were rather shallow. According to Cosmopolitan magazine, Bon Appetit was one big metaphor for sex, while Swish Swish was the requisite Taylor Swift diss track. But her transformation was truly...
Yeah, it's weird to have like one really politically charged song and then it's like, okay, back to the regular we hate Taylor Swift and like sex songs, you know?
You realized with her shaving her head. Throughout her entire career, Katy Perry
whenever like a pop star or a famous actor shaves their head, it never just goes well for them, you know?
A classic American pinup girl aesthetic, which is often criticized as a fantasy catered to male desire or the male gaze. Her buzz cut was a sharp rejection
Not the male gaze, no!
of that image. It aligned with a more modern version of femininity, one that values self-definition over male approval. And this was all a part of her 2017 album rollout, Witness, which was her lowest performing album commercially and critically agreed upon as being her worst album to date. Perry was now completely concerned. If she was too progressive, she pushed away her larger audience. If she tried going back to her roots, it would also seem outdated and out of touch. It was kind of a damned if she does, damned if she doesn't situation. However, the real reason Katy Perry was having such a difficult time understanding her fan base is because, well, her best music didn't exactly come from her heart. That credit belongs to her problematic producer and songwriter Dr. Luke, who is responsible for creating the Katy Perry that fans fell in love with. Katy's Witness album was missing contributions from Dr. Luke, which is likely why fans didn't connect with it as much. In the past, the producer played a significant role in shaping...
But I also feel like she could have hired another producer that like had a similar style too. Like, I think if she just tried to go back to her roots and like stop the political activism and just like had good songs and like a good aesthetic, like she could have come back.
Perry's career, co-writing and producing I Kissed a Girl and Hot and Cold, two of her breakout singles from One of the Boys. The catchy songwriting and strong pop productions saved the dying career of a failed gospel artist. History repeated itself when the pair collaborated on Teenage Dream, where Dr. Luke was responsible for writing and producing California Girls, E.T., Last Friday Night, and The One That Got Away. On Prism, Dr. Luke is credited on almost every song, from pop anthems like Roar and This Is How We Do, to power ballads and hip-hop infused tracks like Unconditionally and Dark Horse. It wouldn't be a stretch to credit Dr. Luke with Katy Perry's success. I'm not saying she isn't capable of writing her own music, but there is a clear trend between her biggest records and Luke. Although she was the voice heard on every track and barred the aesthetic that the fans loved, Dr. Luke wrote the key lyrics that the listeners connected with. His vision for each song, deciding what story would be told, and what kind of emotion the listener should feel led to a record-breaking career for Katy Perry. However, Dr. Luke was facing serious allegations of SA from another pop star, Kesha, and Katy Perry's attempt at a balanced or neutral response was seriously destructive. In 2014, Dr. Luke gained widespread media attention after Kesha filed a lawsuit against him. She accused Dr. Luke of physical and emotional abuse over the course of several years, starting when she was just 18 years old. Kesha also sought to be released from her recording contract with Kimosabe Records. Her legal team argued that her contract with Dr. Luke's label was oppressive and that being forced to work with her alleged abuser was causing irreparable harm to her career and well-being. The case gained significant public support for Kesha, with many fans, fellow artists, and advocacy groups rallying behind her under the hashtag #FreeKesha. Although Dr. Luke denied all allegations and filed a defamation lawsuit against Kesha, the court of public opinion had already come to a guilty verdict. Any artist collaborating with the disgraced songwriter became public enemy number one. Katy tried to stay radio silent on the matter, but in late 2017, she was subpoenaed to provide a
I wonder if Dr. Luke did that to other artists too. I'm not sure. I don't entirely remember if he did or not.
Deposition in Kesha's lawsuit against Dr. Luke. In the deposition, Perry explicitly denied ever being R-worded, drugged, or assaulted by Dr. Luke. She went on to explain why she never said anything publicly. I want to stay out of it because I know them both, and I empathize with both of them, and obviously it's a horrible situation for both of them, and the only two people that know what really went on are those two people. She also expressed feeling pressured to support Kesha because she personally knew both people involved. People were generally very angry at me for not saying anything. She said she was annoyed with both of them, and she decided to stop working with Dr. Luke because she didn't want to seem like she was picking a side. And while Perry thought she was playing it safe, both fans and critics saw cowardice. She had now spent years fighting for progressive ideals and trying to become a leading voice that empowers women, only to be seen as a hypocrite for not unapologetically calling out an alleged assailant. As if it couldn't get any worse for her, she exhibited behavior on national television that many interpreted as predatory.
Yeah, it's just like, that's definitely a tough situation to be in, because it's like, if nothing bad happened to Katy Perry and she doesn't know anything for sure, it's like, what are you supposed to do? Just kind of like defend something when you don't know for sure, But it's like, at that time period, when was this, like 2018? Like, there was the Me Too movement, and I think people were very wrapped up in it.
19-year-old Benjamin Glaze auditioned for American Idol in hopes of pursuing a music career. After mentioning how his job at an electronics store gave him access to cute girls, Judge Luke Bryan asked Benjamin if he had ever kissed a girl and liked it, a reference to Katy Perry's song, I Kissed a Girl. The flustered teenager innocently said no, revealing how he'd never been in a relationship. A stunned Katy Perry instantly demanded Benjamin to come here right now and kiss her on the cheek. After she deemed the first kiss was not satisfying enough, she instructed him to kiss her again, but turned around at the last second and kissed him on the lips. The judges then...
It is a little weird for someone who wants to be like super progressive, like feminist, right?
And high-fived one another, seemingly proud that their co-star deceived a barely legal teen.
But at the same time, I feel like it's not like a big deal.
There was an immense amount of backlash, and many people noted that if the genders were reversed, this would be an entirely different situation.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Benjamin defended Perry, stating that although he was uncomfortable because he wanted his first kiss to be special, he was not complaining about the kiss at all. But don't spend any energy feeling bad for Benjamin. After all, he was recently arrested for having over 700 images and videos of CP. And while people could have marked this situation as a incident, Perry's interaction with Benjamin caused a video to resurface from 2012 where a 28-year-old Perry groped an 18-year-old Justin Bieber, further showcasing a pattern of creepiness from the singer towards younger boys. However, nobody ever complained about Perry's behavior since teenage boys are expected to enjoy attention from older women. And this all revealed another possible layer in Perry's character, separating who she claimed to be and who she actually was. Even longtime fans at this point started to be increasingly skeptical, feeling like she was just another part of the evil Hollywood machine. But it was just going to keep getting worse for Perry. Without the help of the experts to improve her work, her music was in serious trouble. After suffering the first huge series of losses in
I feel like all of this shit would just kind of like be forgotten if she just kept coming out with bangers after bangers after bangers.
Career, Perry attempted to course correct with Smile, where she withdrew from political activism and
is this album cover? Are you fucking kidding me, Katy Perry?
Did more on her personal struggles. Despite diving into a new territory and embracing a retro pop aesthetic, the project didn't match the boldness, originality, or self-determination of her earlier hits. Where Witness failed by trying too hard to be meaningful, Smile failed by not trying hard enough to be impactful. And because of that, it was another decrease in commercial performance and yet again perceived as her worst album to date.
I feel pretty confident in saying that this is Katy Perry's weakest album to date.
After Smile was described as dull and unadventurous,
that hair color is not her hair color. It's way too warm.
She seemingly took a step back from music, only releasing a couple of singles and remaining relatively out of the spotlight. And with the early 2020s seeing a plethora of other pop stars to choose from, such as Dua Lipa, Tate McRae, Tyla, Olivia Rodrigo, Charli XCX, Chappell Roan, Sabrina Carpenter, pop music fans just don't need Katy Perry anymore. And while it might have stung to go out on a massive L after Smile, she would have still been considered an undisputed pop legend. But instead, she's making the mistake of trying to compete with the incredible wave of emerging pop stars. And sadly, she's just embarrassing herself. After announcing her exit from the American Idol judges panel, Katy reconnected with these same producers who crafted Teenage Dream in hopes that lightning could strike twice. The team included Max Martin, Stargate, and controversially, Dr. Luke. These men were tasked.
She's just like, F it, just going right back to Dr. Luke. So I feel like she never gave a f about any of those like progressive ideals or whatever she like pretended to have.
With helping breathe new life into her dying career as they attempted to recreate the magic of an album that came out nearly 2 decades ago. Perry's upcoming album, 143.
It's kind of insane to think that they would like be able to recreate that lightning in a bottle.
It was described as super high energy and filled with pop and dance pop hits that remind people why Katy Perry is one of the highest selling artists of all time. However, the release of this album's lead single, Woman's World, caused smiles to fade as Perry's attempt to deliver a feminist anthem fell short. Perry's take on feminism in 2024 was wildly outdated. It was as if a group of men came up with the idea of what a feminist anthem should look and sound like. That's exactly what happened.
Girl boss! You can do it. You go, girl.
Oh my God,
you were
so
born
cringe.
to shine. And with this set, it's like, ooh.
Like, I don't know why she's trying to come up with like a feminist anthem though. Just come up with a good song about like partying. I swear it'll be so much better.
We're not about the male gaze, but we really are about the male gaze. And we're really overplaying it and on the nose because I'm about to get smashed, which is like a reset from my idea of feminine divine.
Laura Snapes of The Guardian gave Woman's World 1 star out of 5, describing it as garbage. Pitchfork called the track unfathomably tepid while criticizing the hypocrisy of Dr. Luke's involvement. Many people echoed this exact criticism, wondering how Perry could produce a song suggesting she stood beside all women while in the studio with a man accused of using his power as a man in the industry to take advantage of a young female artist. 143 absolutely bombed commercially and had 2 other singles that many are not even aware of because they didn't chart. The project as a
I didn't even know.
whole received overwhelmingly negative reviews, largely due to outdated production and uninspired songwriting. It was so bad that critics speculated whether artificial intelligence was used in the process of making the album.
The entire rollout has been mystifying and perplexing to me. In interviews, she's just completely skipping over the fact that everybody hated Woman's World and that everybody's mad at her for working with Dr. Luke. She couldn't even intelligently defend herself with that one. She said, I just wanted to, so I did, and I don't think it's a big deal. Huge miscalculation. And look what it led to. Karma has come to collect its return.
And while literally nobody was falling for this idea that Katy Perry was the leader of the feminist movement, she was still trying to stick to the female empowerment message that she had failed to execute for years and years and years.
This is the problem. Just make music about drinking and partying. It would be so much better if you just let go of this like feminism shit.
But she once again tried by promoting a Blue Origin space launch program organized by owner and CEO Jeff Bezos and his team of engineers. The idea was to show a team of modern women who played a role in a new mode of space travel.
One by one, they ring a bell. Gail, who has a fear of flying, looks terrified. The all-woman crew joins hands in prayer.
Space, then
it's time to climb into the capsule.
And immediately, nobody was falling for this marketing stunt. From the ceremonial bell ringing to how the group started calling themselves astronauts, the optics were terrible, and fans didn't hold back. They aren't crew, they aren't astronauts, they're rich chicks who paid a hefty sum to subsidize Blue Origin. The first all-female space flight was Valentina Tereshkova in 1963. Don't let them erase our history for cringe billionaire PR. The supposed first all-female astronaut team was like living satire to the average person. They were only in space for a few minutes, and while they were there, none of them were controlling the machinery to make this possible. It also didn't help.
They just got a little ride.
Katy Perry spent most of her time promoting her upcoming tour instead of experiencing a miracle of modern engineering in the moment. This is beyond tone deaf. I went on a Carnival cruise the other day. I am now an explorer. Even comedians like Tim Dillon couldn't help but make fun of the obvious publicity stunt, pointing out that Perry and the other women involved didn't seem to understand that making this news was the worst possible decision.
And singing Imagine, but we're all here. These people should have just quietly done this. How cool, because by the way, no one would hate you. You would have went to space, it would have been fun, and then no one would have hated you. Everyone hates you.
Yes,
all you had to do was keep your mouth shut about a cool, rich thing you did, while the economy, by the way, the economy is crumbling. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
And as if Katy Perry's public relations couldn't get any worse, she embarked on her Lifetimes tour, which has become an absolute disaster. With footage from the tour showing Perry performing mostly low-effort, cringeworthy choreography that doesn't match the same aesthetic advertised on the album.
Katy Perry said no budget for the Lifetime tour. Why is it the Lifetime tour? Like, isn't the Lifetime Network like a network about like old people?
Onlookers like Joe Vito commented on Perry's unimpressive middle school musical level choreography and said that Perry's tour didn't hold a candle to pop artists like Lady Gaga and Taylor Swift. Perry seems to be going through some sort of celebrity midlife crisis. Now at 40 years old, she is aggressively twerking on stage, falling into splits in hopes of recapturing her youth.
Oh my god. What is happening?
She kind of just looks lost up there. It's like a woman who has pandered so many different ways that she looks absolutely confused on stage, just doing literally anything to make a spectacle because being a jester is the last chance she has at remaining relevant. Now, if this were an isolated incident, people would probably laugh and move on. But night after night, Katy's tour performances keep getting worse, and she's figured out a way to turn herself into a joke consistently in the past year. She's become the kind of person that many just love to hate.
Maybe she should have spent less time in space and more time rehearsing Lamau. I know.
Kind of trap that is nearly impossible to escape. Katy Perry's story is a classic case of stand for nothing and you'll fall for anything. It may seem like she is being overly criticized for some silly dance moves and taking a 5-minute trip to space, but this is because of her long history of political pandering, virtue signaling, and not standing for those morals that she claimed to have.
I don't know why she kept wanting to like pander and like look like she had these morals. Like, no one gives a fuck Just have good music and be hot. It's not that complicated.
Actually knows who Katy Perry is supposed to be. And the most interesting part about all of this is that if her new music was good, most people wouldn't care about all the drama.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, she seems to have lost her touch in the studio or lost her resources. And with other great pop stars dominating today, it's hard to see what value Katy Perry brings to pop music in 2025. The spotlight didn't leave her, she just stopped shining in it.
Ooh, that's sad. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. It'll really help me feed the algorithm gods, and please let me know of any other videos you'd like me to react to.